We've got the pound rising against the euro as stocks advanced, and a survey showed the UK housing market is picking up. Let's bring in Daragh Maher, Deputy Head of Global Currency Strategy at Calyon. He comes to us from London. And Daragh, good to talk to you again. Tell us about this news that we're hearing today. What are you reading from this information?
Well, it is good news. We've waited for a while in the UK. We've seen some patchy evidence of a bottoming in the housing market, but now this particular survey has been posting gains in the majority of the last 6 months, so that is encouraging. And also, just in general, of course, sterling is highly risk sensitive, and it's been gaining on this kind of improvement in risk appetite that we're seeing in many asset classes.
Well, next year, should we have a confirmation of a global economy where we have that risk appetite and where it is going to remain strong?
Yeah, I think if we get that kind of confirmation, in other words, we get beyond what is at the moment just an inventory swing, an improvement in confidence, if we get tangible signs of demand, then you've got a much more, an even more bullish case, frankly, for sterling gains. We're looking towards 190 next year on cable, for example. So it's really only the beginning of a story, I think, this one for sterling.
Well, speaking of sterling, what's the story with sterling euro?
Yeah, well, again, I think sterling could be an outperformer there. A lot of what I've described on cable upside is to an extent a dollar story, but sterling should also outperform the euro. We've had a much more potent policy response in the UK than in Europe. The banks have been bailed out, if you like, more swiftly than in Europe. So again, the bounce back is likely to be that little bit more pronounced. And I think once we get beyond simply looking at risk, things like relative growth, relative interest rates will come back into play. And again, that points to some sterling outperformance.
And Daragh, the pound also rose against the yen. That's snapping up 2 days of declines. Tell our viewers and our listeners how the information here in the U.S. about CIT Group and the bondholder move there, how that might play into that.
Well, interestingly, I think in general the market has appeared quite, I would say, insensitive really to bad news at the moment, and anytime we get good news it seems to have an amplified reaction. We of course get this kind of mindset, the relatively muted reaction, for example, to the Indonesian bombings and concerns about CIT. So there seems to be this kind of asymmetry, and it means that we're seeing risk trades, the likes of sterling yen, being rebuilt pretty aggressively. But I think to extend them, we still need to get out of some of these ranges we've been in for the last month or two.
And going forward, the UK's policy towards the banks and toward the financial crisis, is that more of the umbrella that's taking this all in? Can we read something into that as well?
Yeah, I think certainly the UK policy response and its aggressiveness and the idea that it provided a pretty swift remedy, that's been a sterling bullish angle. Shorter term, though, we'll have the minutes from the Bank of England's last meeting. We get them on Wednesday, and the risk there is that they might actually signal a willingness to expand quantitative easing. And short term, I think that could be a little bit of a setback for sterling, but again, I think that might provide the buying opportunity to accumulate some more.
Daragh Maher, Deputy Head of Global Foreign Exchange Strategy at Calyon, joining us from London. Daragh, thanks.